What's going on, guys? This is Blake, and in this video, I'm going to be breaking down how to be more effective with your time in messenger conversations, and ultimately how to close more sales without repelling your prospects by ignoring the buying signals that they're showing you within the conversations itself. All right, so diving into today's training, first and foremost, I want to kick things off with a simple diagram on a training that I did for you all just recently on the 3 C's to scaling your business to consistent 15K and 20K months. Narrow your focus to these 3's and you're putting yourself in a position to not only grow to these months, but ultimately propel past those months and continue to grow your business. I've said this many times before and I'll say it again here in this training now. The key to getting where you want in your business is putting your focus on the right things. If you can put your focus on the right things, you're at least putting yourself in a position to win. Now, as you shift your focus to the correct things and strip away all the other variables that are slowing your progression down, now it's time to dial in the focus and really make things flow. So when we look at this simple diagram here, I'm all about using flow charts and illustrating things visually because I feel it makes it easier for you to explain and visually see, and also easier for me to explain the message and talk about the meaning behind it. So in order to get more of these, more of the last C's, clients, these two need to be functioning correctly. Your content needs to be bringing you the right types of people. You need to be putting out the right stuff. If not, you will be having conversations with lower quality prospects. You will have to rely on cold DMs, and you will have no control over your business. But if you can get this first section dialed in, your content is bringing you leads, that's not the only piece of the puzzle. Because even if your content is amazing and it has people reaching out to you saying, I want to know more, I want to hear more, if you don't know how to move that conversation from that point, you will never see more of this. So these two have to function hand in hand. If one's broken, the other won't work. And if this isn't working and you're just focused on this, you're going to be running an uphill battle of cold DMs, outreach, and trying to drum up opportunities day after day and never having any control over your lead flow. If you get this first section of content dialed in, then lead flow is down. Lead flow is coming. You have consistent leads. You don't have to worry about where the next lead's coming from in your business. Now it's just a matter of actually knowing how to move those leads into a sales conversation and ultimately turn them into a paying client. So usually people have one of these two things completely misaligned, if not both. More than anything, it's usually both. But in order to leverage the power of this very simple framework, or this very simple combination of 3 things, the first 2 have to be working together seamlessly. They don't have to be perfect. You just have to know how to do the right things in each of those elements. If you do, you will win. So as we dive into this further, and as we dive into the training today further, I want to talk more about after you get that lead flow down, when you move them into a conversation, what needs to happen next? For those of you that haven't heard, I'm hosting a workshop at the end of this month, basically solely focused on these 3 things, the 3 most important things to get you to consistent 15K and 20K months. Teaching you how to put out the right types of content to generate hundreds of qualified leads every single month. But not just stopping there. Teaching you also how to actually move those leads into a simple, short messenger conversation and actually teaching you how to understand what the next best move is to actually convert them into a paying client, a sale. Because this is one thing that I see a lot of people missing out on, especially within the Facebook organic space. Whatever platform you're using, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, you're all chatting with some sort of other person to sell that high ticket offer. But if you don't have conversational awareness and you don't know how to read that conversation, you're never going to get the outcome that you want. You're never going to enroll more clients, and you're never going to see 15K and 20K months come to life. But when you know how to put out the right types of content, when you know how to develop conversational awareness, and you know what the very next best move is based on the person that you're speaking to, you're going to continue to enroll more clients, close more sales, and create predictable growth in your business and scale past 15K months. So diving into things further, I want to share with you a framework that I've discovered through 18 months of trial, through thousands of conversations being reviewed between clients, between myself, through $50,000 plus in investments. I've been able to distill down this portion of the process and the first portion, but in particular, we're talking more about the conversational portion here, into a science that you can use to basically put the final portion of this framework on autopilot. Because like I said, when these two are functioning properly, you never have to worry about where the next lead or sale is coming from again, because you know it's going to convert sales. You know it works. Once you feel the power of it for the first time, you realize, man, this is pretty simple. It works. Now I actually understand what I need to do. But the problem is most people don't know how to get the right types of people into a conversation. And if they do happen to get that one right person into a conversation, they lose the sale and mess it up because they don't know how to move that conversation. What I have illustrated here may look a little bit more complex than what you see above, but in reality, it's not. It's only because it's unknown to you right now. But this is what I call my Autopilot dynamic conversion framework. The reason I call it my Autopilot dynamic conversion framework is because, as you can see here, there's a few elements that come into play in order to make this work. Starting with probe, invert, leverage, observe, and then transform. This is all done in a matter of 5 messages or less. This entire pilot framework itself. After those 5 messages are complete, you have data that you can observe, and now it's up for you to make an educated choice on what the next best move is for you to make that sale happen. And this is where a lot of people miss out on a lot of sales. And right now, I know that many of you are sitting with people in your inbox right now ready to pay you money, but the moment you send them one wrong message, it repels them and that chance is gone. And the opportunity fades away. So when it comes to this framework, the main purpose behind it is to give you the very most information that you need, no more, no less. The precise amount of information that you need to make an educated choice on what the next best move is to close a sale. And I've heard many times before people come to me and ask, Blake, what's the main model that you teach your clients? Is it closing in Messenger? Is it closing over the phone? What is it? And I always come back and tell them, I teach you how to dynamically close. I don't teach you how to be one-sided. Because if you're one-sided within your business and within your sales conversations itself, you're only putting yourself in a position to repel sales. You have to meet people where they want to be met. You can't force them into things that they're not willing to do. You can try to, and it may work sometimes, but more than likely, it's going to frustrate that person on the other end, and it's going to repel them, and they're going to walk away, and you're not going to make that sale happen. So recently, over these last couple months, I've really taken the time to dial in this dynamic conversion framework into something that I can actually reteach and share with you, which is why I'm hosting this workshop this month. Because prior to rolling this out this month, I knew how to do this myself, but I didn't know how to formulate it in a way to actually teach others to do the same. So I wanted to break it down in the most simple framework possible, and that's what I've done. So now, not only am I able to tell you how to develop conversational awareness and show you how to read people and understand what the next best move is, I can also show you exactly what that next best move is itself. how to actually read what the response is, what the data is that you gathered, and say, okay, here's what I need to do next to make this happen. And this isn't complicated information that you're gathering. This is foundational sales information that you're gathering. But the point is, many people don't know how to read it correctly. And if you don't know how to interpret that information correctly, you'll say the wrong things, you'll do the wrong things, and you'll repel people, and you won't make sales happen. So let's say, for example, you have someone that you're speaking to in Messenger that, based on this process here, based on this Autopilot dynamic conversion framework, you went through this series of 5 questions. In summary, that you're gathering this information within 5 questions or less, or 5 messages or less. Not all of them are even questions. Once you have that information, now you're able to see that this person on the other end is pretty much primed and ready to pay you $5,000. Now it's up for you to decide what the next best move is to make sure that sale happens. But the problem is most people can't see that, so they instead think it's best, okay, let's just offer him a call and let's have him book a call 4 days out. And now he gets frustrated. He probably doesn't even book the call. He walks away and you lose a sale. All because you didn't have the conversational awareness at the time to know when to pull out the next best move to actually seal that deal. Because you couldn't see that he was ready to pay $5K. Because it's not like he came to you and said, I'm ready to pull out my credit card and pay you $5,000 right now. He's showing you indirect signs that he's ready to do that. And that is what I want to teach you how to read. So whether you join my workshop this month or not, either way, I want you to get value from this training that I'm putting together for you today. So first and foremost, remember that it all starts with these 3 things. If you want more clients, you have to have the focus solely on content on one platform, and you have to have the focus on conversations behind that content. Because how do you enroll clients? You put out content that builds trust, that moves your audience into qualified conversations. You have conversations with people, you ask the right questions, you propose the right options, and you say the correct things, and you get clients. When you have this dialed in and working, it becomes a predictable system that works over and over and over again as you continue to scale to 15K and 20K months. If you're focusing on anything else outside of this, if you're trying to build funnels, if you're trying to start a Facebook group, start a TikTok platform, start Instagram, and you're thinking that that's putting yourself in a position to win because it's giving you more exposure and it's making you look fancier, chances are it's not. Chances are it's just slowing your progression. When I went from 0 to 6 figures in my first year, I didn't focus on anything else besides Facebook. Because I knew that anything else aside from that, based on my experience in years prior of not achieving any results, was just slowing my progression. And once I narrowed my focus and dialed in, especially these first 2 elements, that's when I started to win, that's when I continued to win, and that's when I continued to propel to the next level. Until I got to 40K, even up to 50K months with Facebook Organic alone. And that just shows you the power behind this when you get these things working together seamlessly for you. But remember, obviously imperfect action on especially these first 2 things are alone going to put you in a position to at least have a chance to get to 10K months and 15K months. And you can continue to work to figure those out on your own and try to break this down to a science and spend 18 months or $50,000 doing it on your own. Or you can learn from someone that's been there, done that, spent that, and analyzed over thousands of messenger conversations to break this down to a science for you. Because even though this is very, very simple, and the entire process behind it is very, very simple, you still need to know the right thing to do within each element. So the first most important part is knowing where to put the focus, which comes down to these 3 things. Putting out the right content, having the right types of conversations, asking the right questions, proposing the right options, and ultimately enrolling your clients, keeping your clients happy, and getting them results. But again, if these two things aren't dialed in correctly, if you're not putting out the right types of content, you will get the wrong types of leads. You will speak to the wrong types of people. If you're neglecting this content entirely, you will just be in an uphill battle of just focusing on this, wondering why you're getting ghosted, why you're spending such long amounts of time in Messenger, and why you're not closing deals. But it's really super, super simple. And it really just comes down to understanding, for me in particular with what I'm teaching with this workshop, the 4 post types that I use over and over and over again to bring an influx of qualified leads into my business. 4 frameworks that you can apply in a variety of ways to create hundreds of posts. But at the core of it, it's 1, 2, 3, or the 4th framework that I teach you that works over and over and over again. And once you deploy those 4 frameworks and you move the right types of people into a simple 5-question, 5-message conversation, now it just comes down to understanding exactly how to move that conversation and how to read what they're saying. Because it's one thing to be able to ask questions and follow a script just like everybody else. But there's a reason that I could have a script here and I could give it to 20 of you here today, and one of you would get results that maybe 19 wouldn't, let's say. But it's because that one person maybe has more skill in knowing how to actually read what the responses are to that conversation and deciding what the next best step is. Because if you don't have that conversation awareness, you're not able to decipher what the next best move is, you're basically burning through leads and losing money every single day. And that's where this Autopilot dynamic conversion framework comes into play. This is where I teach you exactly how to learn the buyer signals that you see within those messenger conversations to know exactly where your prospect is and to know exactly what's needed to put yourself in a position to actually close that sale. So when you're in messenger conversations, for those of you that aren't or won't be joining me in the workshop, because again, it's not going to be able to be tailored towards everyone with only 15 spots. For those of you that miss out or don't have the chance to join me, at the very least, right now, take some time to understand that it's not just about asking the right questions, it's about observing what you're asking and knowing how to handle it after that instance. Scripts are just frameworks, but if you don't know how to make that script your own and interpret the information that you're gathering, they're worthless. And this is honestly one of the most important and overlooked parts of the entire messenger process. And it took me a long time to actually see this, understand that, hey, it really only comes down to these 5 things and understanding how to connect these 5 dots and read the information that you're getting to where now you have multiple options to close with. You don't have to go to a sales call every time. You don't have to try to close a messenger every time. You do what's best for the situation that you're in to put yourself in a position to actually land that sale in the most efficient way possible. That's all it takes. So as we close out today's training and the topic of how to be more efficient and effective with your time in Messenger and how to understand the importance behind knowing what signals that you're being told within the conversations itself indirectly. Because again, if you ignore these and you aren't aware of what's going on within the conversation itself and what they're indirectly telling you, you're losing out on sales every single day. So if you want more in-depth training on exactly what those buying signals are, what they look like, how to handle them, and what's the best way to approach them in ways that basically pre-sell your prospects on demand and land you high-ticket sales, be sure to click the link below. It's going to redirect you to Messenger where you can reach out to me and send me the word post to close. If you send me the word post to close, I will be sending you a full breakdown of the workshop that I have going down this month, sharing all of that and much, much more. So with that said, thanks again for watching. If you have not yet already, be sure to subscribe to the channel before you head out and hit the thumbs up button if you got value from today's video.